Proverbs says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And sadly today, so few people have real vision, and thus they're struggling through life. Today, we're going to do something that's very important to living the Chazown that God has given you, and we're going to develop a purpose statement that will help drive you through life. So far, we've covered the three main life areas, or the three circles. We've talked about the core values that God has given you, those certain things that you stand for above all else. We've looked at your spiritual gifts, those things that you do exceptionally well, those gifts that God has given you that help propel you into your Chazown. And we've looked at your experiences, the things from the past that were maybe positive or maybe not even positive, that have helped shape you to become the person that you are today. As we've looked at those three different areas, what I want to do now is ask you three specific questions that will help move you toward that one driving sentence, your purpose statement that'll help move you forward. The first question I want to ask you is this: what do your good and bad experiences have in common? What do your good and bad experiences have in common? Is there a common thread? Are they somehow related? I want you to think about that as you look back over your life. The second question I want to ask you is this: what do you think your experiences have done to prepare you for the future? As you look back, what do you think your experiences have done to prepare you for the future? Maybe you're inwardly different because of the experiences God has allowed you to have. The third question I want you to ask yourself is this: regarding the next chapter of your life, what possible titles come to mind? I'd like for you to name the next chapter of your life. We've looked back over our past, and now as we're moving forward, what would you name the next chapter of your life? Some sample titles could include Making a Difference, or some of you might title the next chapter of your life Starting Over, or Restoring Brokenness. There'll be some other examples for you in your workbook to help you to name the next chapter of your life. Now, in your workbook, as you'll look and bring the three circles together, your core values, your gifts, and your experiences, I'd like for you to look at where those three circles or those three life areas actually overlap. Where your core values, where your gifts, and where your experiences overlap, that's often the greatest key to your Chazown. Let me give you an example from my own life. What are my gifts? Well, my spiritual gifts, I have the gift of administration. I like to organize things. I have the gift of leadership. If you look at my core values, I love evangelism. It's one of the greatest values in my life. I love excellence. I love stewardship. I love to be a good steward over what God has given me. If you look back over my experiences, I grew up going to church, and yet I didn't know Christ. Therefore, I really want church to be a place that's evangelistic. An unusual experience, I was a magician when I was a little kid. Yes, I did magic tricks with bunny rabbits and doves. It's actually very true. And so that experience helped to prepare me to be in front of people. When you look at my gifts, my values, my experiences, where they overlap, you can see that I am created by God to do what I'm doing today. I'm leading an innovative, evangelistic, organized, multi-site ministry using technology, completely comfortable leading and organizing, and you can see God created me to do this, to lead people to become fully devoted followers of Christ, my Chazown. As you look at your core values, your gifts, and your experiences, where they overlap, I promise you, God will show you something about your Chazown as it will propel you forward. So, now it's time to go ahead and put these ideas into words. God has brought you all the way here for a reason, and what I want you to do is I want you to think about one action-focused sentence, a purpose statement that God will use to propel you forward for the rest of your life. What is a purpose statement? Very simply, it's a one-sentence version of God's Chazown for your life. It's expressed in words that will motivate you toward action. This may sound intimidating. You may think, I can't do this. What am I going to do? How do I know to do this? Here's where I want you to start. Just do this. Take time to finish this sentence quietly to yourself. Just say, God has created me with a dream for my life, and I think it might be what? Finish that. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you look at your gifts, your values, your experience? God created me and gave me this dream in life to do what? Put it into a sentence. Now, you may think, how could I possibly ever do that? And the truth is, when God gives you His Chazown, it's going to be bigger than you could ever imagine. Don't be intimidated by it. If you feel like, I could never do that, the good news is you can't. It's going to take the power and the presence of God to help you fill in the blank. God has created me and empowered me to do what? One sentence related to action, your purpose statement. In fact, I've got a few people that are just behind me that have some great purpose statements. Let's hear from them. Hey guys, it's a great coincidence that we have people back here that actually have a purpose statement.
It is.
Kendra, in one sentence, what are you about?
When I first wrote down my mission statement, it was to train and motivate children to become uncompromised disciples.
And how's that going?
And I think it's still a lot of the same thing, but I think as you step into it and kind of live through it, sometimes it looks different a few years later after you've done that, but I still feel very called to those same sorts of things.
And that's okay too, because this isn't written in stone. This is an idea that we can use to move forward.
Right.
Yeah. I think you're doing a great job doing that. Amanda, how about you? What are you about?
Well, I think that my purpose is to be a living example in my marriage to young couples to help equip and encourage them to intentionally prepare for the commitment of marriage as God intends it, rather than how the world can sometimes diminish it.
And how is God using you to do that right now?
Well, first of all, He set up my husband and I to go through some pretty unique circumstances when we first got married, to have maybe some experience that we wouldn't normally be able to speak into. And He's placed young couples in our life, and we are intentionally trying to open our time so we can mentor them. We're trying to get involved in speaking panels, and we're continually trying to educate ourselves on how we can be how we can continually improve the foundation of our marriage, because really it's kind of an evolving thing, I think.
And what I know about both of you is both of your gifts, your experiences, and your values really point toward what you're saying, which is the purpose. John, how about you? What are you about, buddy?
Craig, I feel like at this stage in my life, God has called me to be a developer of young leaders and to show them how to bring balance in their life spiritually, financially, relationally, and health-wise.
And you're working with some of our staff members and non-staff members to do that, and how are they responding to your mentoring?
Yes, I am, and I feel like we're making progress. I've chosen to be very vulnerable with them and let them know the mistakes and the challenges that I've had in my life and how they can use those opportunities to be able to approach it. I see them becoming more and more authentic as we get together, and I'm really excited about what the future holds.
So here it is. Let's just go for it. Finish the sentence. God created me to do what? Put your ideas down. It doesn't have to be in hard ink. It can be in pencil, and it can evolve over time. But let the one sentence that you believe could be your Chazown, let it come to life. Talk it over with some people, and who knows, while a lot of people end up somewhere, you probably won't, because God is going to give you a vision, and when He does, He's going to use you to do more than you ever thought possible.